Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to a very exciting video because today we're not just going to be discussing like my thoughts and opinions and stuff like we usually do on the channel, but this is actually a video that is done in collaboration with two other doll channels who I really enjoy. We have got Chad from Chad Marvelous and Enzo from the Junk Drawer, and we're all doing a custom doll collaboration, which is super fun. Before I get into it, sorry for how everything looks behind me. If you haven't seen some of my recent videos, I'm moving, so like I've already packed everything up in this room, hence the boxes and the empty shelves. Please don't let it distract you. It won't be on screen for that long in this video anyway. But yeah, back to like the point of this video. I want to say, I think it was so long ago at this point that we talked about this, but I'm pretty sure Enzo came to us and was like, hey, we should all do custom dolls together. And it ended up being a really fun collaborative project because he started off saying that we should all do a custom doll based off of our favorite color. So mine is going to be orange. I won't spoil their colors because like I obviously want you to go and see their videos as well. And then we decided that we would each pick a category. So since Enzo had picked our favorite colors, my category that I picked was that we should all do male dolls, and then Chad decided that all of the dolls should be spring themed, which is really fun. And what's even more exciting to me, because like I'm filming this, I've done mine, I think he looks great, but we didn't do like reveals for each other prior to like posting the video, so I don't know what their dolls look like, and I'm so hyped for their videos to come out so I can see how they look. Like I'm just really excited to do that. But yeah, so this is going to be the video of me making my custom orange themed spring doll. Definitely once you're done here, check out Enzo and Chad's videos. I'm sure that they are going to be amazing as always. I also do have to say, it's been a while since I've made a custom doll or a custom doll video because I like making custom dolls. And on the one hand, I do feel like making a video out of it kind of prompts me to do more with them and like inspires my creativity. But on the downside, I really hate filming the process. Like it's really hard for me to get into making the art when I'm constantly worried about, is my camera dead, or am I in frame, or is this in focus? Like there's just a lot more going on that I kind of have to focus on when I film it. So I experimented and I didn't do that. I just took kind of like progress pictures along the way. You guys can let me know in the comments if you think that this is like a good way to make a custom doll video, because like I don't know, it might not be as visually interesting. I'm trying to find a happy medium here, so feel free to let me know all of your thoughts and opinions. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and jump into the process of making my custom doll for this collab, and I hope you guys enjoy. Alrighty, so we are starting off with Heath Burns from G3 of Monster High. Contrary to how he looks on screen right now, he is orange. Like if you've ever seen this doll, you know this. This is just the beginning of none of the orange colors really truly showing up on my camera very well as orange. I don't know why. They just like, a lot of them look very yellow. I can assure you, I did not cheat. This is an orange doll, okay? Also, if you have been around long enough to have seen my previous custom doll videos, I used to write like a script so that I could be slightly more professional when I'm making these. Not today. We are raw dogging this video, so I am sorry for that. Anyway, that's besides the point. Heath is the base doll. Let's get him unboxed. Also, you can tell that I am working off script because I forgot to show you my concept art. It's rough, okay? Don't judge me. But like, I just kind of did a little sketchy sketch of kind of roughly how I wanted him to turn out. Spoiler, it's not exactly the same, but I feel like it's decently close, and this is kind of what we were working with. So yeah, the easy part was getting Heath out of the box and then just taking off all of, the stuff he comes with, because none of it is something that can really be repurposed into the design I have in mind for him, so we're just going to store away all of his, like, accessories and such. And then we get to the first hard part, which is the fact that I want him to have, like, hair and not flames. And normally, if you're doing a custom doll, you would soak the head and then you would pop the head off, which we're doing, hence why he's, like, in boiling water here. You can't tell it's boiling, but it was boiling. But the problem with Heath is that he doesn't have hair that you can just like easily remove to do a reroute. He has plastic molded on flames. So I already knew that was going to be a problem, and it will be shortly. So here's like just his head off the body. That part, easy peasy. Like that's nothing. The hard part is actually getting the flames off. I had to take scissors and knives and all manner of sharp objects to this poor boy's head to try to get the flame off, which by the way, like, I already have an adult warning on all my videos. Don't be doing this shit if you're a kid. Like, please be careful. Even if you're an adult, sharp objects, chemicals, all of that fun stuff. Be careful with yourself. But yeah, after a lot of effort, the flames did come off like relatively cleanly, and I didn't put any holes in his head, which was like the big fear, and so that was all fine. He doesn't look terrible from the front, but you can kind of tell that something is going on, and this is what he looks like from the back. Now, I knew that this was going to kind of be the case because with the molded on hair, I didn't expect him to necessarily have a normal shaped head underneath it, but very obviously this is a problem that I then had to fix. And by fix, I mean that I had to sculpt him like the rest of his head so that he had, a regular shaped head that I could put hair onto. Now, okay, typically what you would use for this is two-part epoxy. It's what you see in so many doll customizing videos because it works well. Like that's just the baseline, honestly, is that it does work well. However, that stuff is the bane of my existence. I hate using it. Like I just violently hate the way that it feels to sculpt with. So I was like, okay, let's try something else. Let's try an air dry clay and see if that will work instead. It didn't work. So I knew I had to try something else. I didn't want to use the like typical epoxy sculpt that most people use because again, I hate it. And I also like didn't have any that was still good. Like mine was all messed up. So I bought a different kind and I was like, okay, maybe this will be better. It's the same kind of premise where it's meant to be a two-part clay that can stick well to a lot of different materials. So I was like, okay, maybe this will work instead. And technically it did. Like he very clearly has a full head now, which is super cool. I also do like that this dries white, so it's just like an easier base to paint on because the most commonly used epoxy dries, at least like the one that I've had, gray. I think they might have different colors, but like most people I've seen use the one that dries gray. So like that's a little harder to then paint on top of. So I liked that. However, this was even more unbearable to work with. It was so gross. So like don't recommend, but like it worked for here. I then painted his head orange to roughly match the shade of his skin tone, which will quickly become redundant. We'll get there. I just realized I had a fan on for the last couple of voiceovers, so I'm sorry if the quality's a little rough, y'all. Anyway, though, next up was his face up, which is the part that I feel the worst about not filming, because I feel like that's kind of a big jump to go from him not having a face. I didn't even talk about removing his face. Oh my god, I used acetone to remove his face. I am so sorry. This video is going to be so chaotic. I feel like Enzo and Chad are probably going to have super nice videos. And then I'm going to be over here like the gremlin in the corner. Anyway, yeah, I feel like this is the face up is like a lengthy process. And I think that it's what a lot of people like about custom doll videos. But for me, it's actually the part that I detest filming the most just because it's so hard for me to be in frame and in focus and like also get close enough to paint little itty bitty details. So yeah, I didn't film anything, but I didn't film that specifically. So I just use paint for mine. A lot of people use watercolor pencils for their face ups, and that's chill if that works for you. But for me personally, I just don't feel like it turns out as well. So I like to just go in with a teensy weensy little paintbrush and acrylic paint and paint in all of the details. And then I pop them out on my birdseed filled patio on my dirty, dirty, battered and bruised tote bin lid. And I spray them with a couple of coats of MSC to seal in that face. If you are doing this, if you're using MSC, please wear a mask when you spray it. That stuff should not be going into your lungs. So do be careful. It's good for dolls, not good for your health. Anyway, this is what his face looks like. It's not like necessarily my best face that I think I've ever done, but it has been a while since I've painted anything this small. So like for being somewhat out of practice, I feel like he looks cute. Like the orange eyes, the side like he's a cutie. So of course we're gonna subject him to torture. I, this always looks so bad. I'm just making a wig cap for him. Kind of, you'll see in a second. I start out by wrapping his head with saran wrap so that when I glue stuff down, it doesn't like actually get all over his face and his head and everything. Then we got to double down on making this look like a horror film and wrap his head in fabric also. This is just fabric that like I have lying around and I've used it to make other wig caps before. But ideally you want something that is like stretchy and extremely thin. So like stockings or something like that is a really good thing to use. Just because like the thinner it is, the better it's going to look. Again, we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm trying not to spoil anything ahead of time. So then to make the wig cap proper, you put Mod Podge on like the portion that you actually want to make the cap out of. So just like around kind of the crown of his head and down onto the face just a little bit so you have some wiggle room. Do that a few times, it'll dry into like this nice hard shell, and that's your wig cap. If you have a less thick material, it can probably be used for like any sort of hair. I mean, obviously, I've seen other people make like straight haired doll wigs, so like it's fine. However, when I've done this in the past, this is like a thicker material, and it hasn't mattered because the times that I've made wig caps before was for dolls that have extremely voluminous curly hair. So because of the hair type and also the style that I was going for with those dolls, it didn't really matter that the wig cap was thick because you genuinely couldn't tell. But literally as soon as I got done making this wig cap that you see here, I was like, "Oh, this is not gonna work with, like, how thin the straight hair is." So we switched lanes. This is probably a good time to show you the hair that I planned on using. I've got 2 colors of kind of like one is like a reddish, orangish brown, and the other is like kind of a true, like, natural redhead orangey type color. I mean, it's pretty vibrant, but you know what I'm getting at here. So yeah, I wanted to use 2 colors for his hair to give it a little bit of dimension. Also, I'm just gonna say this, technically speaking, is having him have brown, like, aspects cheating? Maybe, but I would argue that it's not because if you, like, darken orange enough, it turns into brown, so I'm gonna say it's fine because it looks good. So yeah, since the wig cap wasn't gonna work, I repainted his scalp to be more of like an auburn color, and then I started gluing the hair straight to his head, which looks terrible in these pictures. I know that this was a real trust the process type moment. Also, the ones that you're seeing are actually like my second or third attempt because I was using the wrong kind of glue first, but like we got there in the end. But once we like throw it back in a semi-correct fashion and pop it into a braid, it starts to look a little bit better here. I did contemplate, 'cause in like the concept art, he obviously has like a much smaller braid, like a shorter braid, and I did contemplate cutting his hair, but it just looked too cute. Like I just couldn't make myself take it down because I felt like it looked so good long like this. So a little bit of a change, but that's okay. I also did use just a little piece of wrapped floral wire that's like this, obviously like a brown color, to tie off the end there. I felt like it looked a little bit more natural and it also did the job just as well as a rubber band. So double duty? It doesn't matter. Move on. Of course, it didn't fit completely. So like this is where the first of the florals came in. Again, not coming out like the right color, like the color is not showing up properly with these photos. I can assure you, even though they look kind of yellow, all of these are orange, like different colors of orange. Some are slightly more yellow than others, but these are orange. My camera just hates me. But yeah, I whipped out my trusty hot glue gun and popped some flowers in his hair. And I feel like it looks so good now. Like you can't even tell he looked like Gollum, for you guys all of 2 minutes ago. It's so much better. He was looking really cute at this point and I was feeling confident. But that means that I had to move on to his like dress situation, which was the part that I was most anxious about because I was actually going to sew something for once, which is scary for me because it's not something that I have a lot of practice doing, but we were going to jump on in. Once again, bad lighting. You've heard it all at this point. So this is the fabric that I have. It is like a very, very, very pale orange. It is quite sheer, and it is like it's a nice fabric. It's exactly what I wanted, but you'll see in a moment that it is going to give me a little bit of trouble, but like I anticipated it and it's okay. So I made mock-up pattern pieces, which like if you are someone who doesn't know how to sew, like, should you be making patterns? Absolutely not, but I did anyway. Just because why would I make anything easy for myself? So I'm not like including anything in depth here just because I'm not good at sewing by any means. I'm not practiced at pattern making, but essentially I just like took some measurements of his waist and like how long I wanted the skirt to be at different points, and I made sort of an adjusted circle skirt situation, and then the much smaller strip of fabric there is going to be like the piece that covers his chest, and that I just like would cut out a couple of times to make the front and the back. I don't know. I don't know any proper sewing terms, so I can't explain this any better, but like this is like the mock-up that I used. I made this just out of like a spare red shirt that I had. And then of course I used this once I realized that this was a good pattern to cut out the pieces of the proper fabric that I was going to be using. So after I sewed the front and back pieces of his like top section together, I had cut out two pieces for the skirt section because it is so sheer. And so I just wanted to layer the bottom portion so he looks semi decent. And then I sewed the two top pieces to that circle portion, or like the cut out circle portion. You can see, I hope you understand what I'm saying. I don't even understand what I'm saying. I sewed the two portions of like the top half of the dress to the part that like his waist goes into, and I made a dress. You can see here it's really not good quality. Like, it is kind of rough, and I will happily admit that this is one of the first times I've ever really attempted solidly to sew something for a doll. I've made like some attempts in the past, but I've rapidly given up. But like, I wasn't giving up this time, mostly because I had other people who were like doing a collab. So I guess I just needed that strength of knowing that other people needed me to get this video out to actually do it. But yeah, it's not like the most high quality ever. I did have to seal the edges of the top portion, and so like you can kind of see that. It was just so that it didn't fray. It's a little bit iffy, but you know, I don't think it's terrible for a first garment that I've created. That being said, you can see that it is quite poofy. This material on a human would be like nice and flowy and pretty, but because of the scale, like there's just not enough weight on the bottom of the dress to keep it down the way that I want to, like closer to how the concept art was. So I did have to sew like a few little, I don't know if darts is the right word. I sewed a couple of places in the skirt to make it look better. So this is what it looks like after I kind of made some like really rough, not quite pleats. I genuinely don't know if darts is the right term. Someone let me know. It's definitely not like quite as flowy as the original concept art. However, with the material that I had, which like I really wanted to use this fabric, I thought it was a great color. I loved the sheerness. I love the shininess. Like I had to use this fabric. So I feel like with the material I had to work with, this is like a pretty good approximation. And I'm happy with how it turned out, even if it's not exactly like the concept art. Like I think it's gonna look cute, but obviously we have to add flowers. And that's it. Like that's it. He's practically done. I think I'm going to name this lovely springtime lad Gareth. I just think it's a fun, fitting name for him. Now, the first thing I have to do is apologize to Gareth, because even though he looks fabulous, like I really did that with my trusty little hot glue gun. I couldn't give him a proper photo shoot, and I do feel kind of bad for him and also for you guys for like obviously not being able to see a proper nice photo shoot. But I finished this doll as I was like trying to pack up to move, so I just like didn't have the time to go out and like take nice pretty photos of him because I'm working on all kinds of deadlines right now. But I hope that this can work for now. Once we move and once we're settled and I get to unpack him, I would love to give Gareth like a proper photo shoot so you can really like see his details and appreciate all of the stuff that like went into his design. But I hope you can understand like from just seeing this like what he looks like, and I hope you can kind of appreciate how nice I think he looks. I feel like this turned out really well. There were so many moments along the way with like the hair and also the dress, and like so many moments where I really truly had to trust the process and be like, okay, this is going to come together at some point. And I really genuinely think it did. Obviously, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this doll in the comments down below, but I think he turned out fabulous. I'm very proud of him. Like, is it the most stellar work anyone ever has created? No, but I think I did good, and I think that I learned things making this doll, which is always really important to me when I am making art. So overall, an absolute win for me. And of course, I got to make this doll in conjunction with two of my doll buddies, and I'm really, really excited to see their dolls. I'm curious to see how we each executed the different themes, and definitely go check those out if you liked this video, or even if you didn't, because like theirs might be nicer and less chaotic than mine. So you should check theirs out regardless. But that is going to be all for today, guys. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night or whatever it might be, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.